All right, so this is the part where I want to teach you how to understand what you want and what you're looking for in another person. And this is not taught, and where a lot of people are still single because they don't truly understand what they're looking for. And I really want to break it down and help you see, especially with this question of like, what if I'm being too picky, or what if I'm being too broad or too general? I don't know if I'm being too picky or not. So I'm going to help you with this. And first off, we have to start off with, if you have not watched the previous videos, that is a must, because if you're coming at it with the energy of, I need to get married, and if I don't, it's a problem, and you're kind of either rushing or just not clear on the values that you haven't built the life that you wanted, and it doesn't feel you don't feel fulfilled in your own personal single life. You are going to look for things in another person to fill a void in your heart. To fill a void, you're going to try to project the insecurities that you already have about yourself onto someone else. And so it's going to feel very hard to be clear and looking for what you want. And also, when you're not clear on the mindset that I told you and all of that, you're going to be stuck in this feeling of like, yeah, but where, but how, but when, but like, and it's just, if you haven't cleaned all of that up, it's going to feel like you're stuck, right? So make sure you watch all the previous videos I posted, and now we're going into more of, okay, what am I actually looking for? Now, the video right before this, I posted about how to understand your own values. What are your personal values? Are you living your values? Because if you're not, you're going to feel like you don't have that fulfilling life. And it's going to feel like anyone that comes through, it's going to feel like, okay, he needs to also be, he needs to be exciting so that it can fill my life, right? However, not even exciting, right? You're going to fill it with crazies and weirdos. And people who are lacking what you're looking for, and which is why when someone's operating from this like not fulfilled place, they're not living by their values, they're not living by their priorities, uh they attract low quality potentials. Why? Because every time you think, okay, this my life is like not good, like I'm feel unfulfilled, then every time you talk to someone, you allow weird behavior. Like when I say weird, like just things that you're not okay with, you let it in and you don't question it, because you literally can't see it. You don't have the capacity to see it because you're too busy trying to feel better. You're trying to feel better by getting into a relationship. So the first step is always coming from a place of, I'm good, and you're driven by feeling more confident. And I'm saying the words driven by because we're not aiming for 100% confidence. Confidence is knowing, actually, let me define this. Confidence is knowing that I am not afraid of my own insecurities. Like, it's okay that I have insecurities, and I know that there's nothing wrong with me. And I'm here to find a partner that I can enhance my life with. However, if you're coming from like I hate my life, I have to get married, there's so much pressure, I have to do it, and if I don't do it, then it's going to be a problem, and there's something wrong with me, and people are going to judge me, and that energy's repelling, right? No one wants to be around that. And I say this with love, so I'm encouraging you to really do the work of the previous videos before you move on to anything else. And so, okay, now let's talk about, what does it mean to be picky? What does it mean to be selective, intentionally selective? Being picky is when you are operating from your ego versus from your values. So let's say I want someone with a college degree. Let's say that's one of your wants. You have to ask yourself, is this coming from your ego, or is this coming from your value? And how to know that is, okay, why is this very important for me? Okay, if he has a college degree, then that means people can see that he's educated, and that people can see, like, I don't have to be people won't talk about me saying that I'm with someone who's uneducated. Okay, that's what happens is you're thinking about what people are going to think of you. Versus, like, let's say I tell you, like, okay, let's say I give you this perfect man, but he just doesn't have a college degree, but he is ambitious and he runs his own business and he makes money and he's really good at it, but he doesn't have a college degree. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, but like he doesn't have a college degree. Why is that a problem? Now, the value that you're looking for underneath the college degree is you want someone who is intelligent, intellectual, maybe, right? So maybe intelligence is a value of yours and it shows up differently for people, right? In your version of it, it shows up in college degree, and someone else it shows up in, entrepreneurship maybe. And so you have to analyze, is this something that really matters to me in a marriage, and why does it matter? Is this something where I just, I'm saying I want it because it looks good for people to see that I have this? Or is it maybe potentially filling a void that I have that, I've always wanted someone who, I don't know, is like really tall, and if I don't get it, then, people are, whatever, like whatever your reason is, you have to check, is this a reason that you're willing to like hold on to, or is this something that you're like, the question is, are you willing to be, would you rather be single or hold on to that specific value? And I know what some women are thinking, like, oh my gosh, like I've been picky, and no, I don't want you to, I don't want you to think that you're picky, right? I want you to really question, bring out your your intuition and check with yourself. Am I screening people, and do I feel like I'm being too picky, or is this the socialization that a lot of women have been socialized to believe, that women and men, that you're being too picky? And this is, you have to be honest with yourself. So I'll give more examples so I can be more clear, but really what your question is, what are my values? What am I looking for in a spouse? And you could list out, right? Like your value, what you're looking for is, you want someone who's kind, you want someone who's who makes money, you want someone who's good on their deen, who wants someone that exercises. So let's break that down. What are you actually looking for when you say that? When you say you want someone that is on their deen, what does that mean? Because it's very different for everyone. Let's say you're someone who's practicing and you're, you do your extras, you do all the things, but you meet someone who does do that, but they don't do their extras, or they don't do the extra prayers and stuff. Is that okay? And the answer here is, it's whatever you're willing to deal with. And so if you see that there's an imbalance of, let's say, that, first of all, that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's more of, what am I willing to tolerate? What am I willing to be okay with? So let's say you're a woman who's like really on her deen, and she meets someone who just barely, he just prays the 5 times a day. He does the basics. Is that okay with you? And why is it not okay with you? And are you, that's kind of a decision you have to make. And the reason why I'm saying it's important to do the pre-work of all of this is because if you're not okay with being single, you're going to let that in. You're going to be like, it's okay, I just want to be married. Versus like, if your cup is filled and you're ready to go, and like, all right, let's see, I have a beautiful, amazing life. Now, who do I want to let in? Who do I want to be the father of my children? And if not, if you're at the age where you can't have children anymore, who do I want in my life? Now let's give another one, right? I gave the example of a degree, but everything you're looking for, you're looking for, there's a value underneath it. So whatever you say you're looking for, there's always a value underneath it. So if you're saying you want someone who exercises, the value you're looking for is maybe well-being, someone who cares about well-being. And so let's say one of your must-haves is they must exercise. And so now the question is to make sure it's a must-have. Okay, if this person is perfect in every other avenue, but they don't have like this one thing, they don't exercise, are you okay with that? Why or why not? And you'd be surprised, I met a lot of people who, everything's perfect except like they don't have this one thing, which is like maybe exercise, or they don't like to go travel. And so it doesn't work for them. And they choose to stay single, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just more of like, this is their choice. And I want you to see and from a more empowered stance that like you get to choose what you're looking for and what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. And we have to undo this idea of perfection. And really a good question to ask yourself is 10 years from now in a marriage, what actually matters? Does it matter that we both like to exercise? Does it matter that we both have the same hobbies? Not necessarily, because 10, it's nice to have, I'm not saying it's not nice, but what actually matters is, does this person have compassion? Do they communicate? Do they have a heart that is understanding? Do they do I want to be with someone who doesn't listen to me or stuff like that? Like, and so everything else is more of a cherry on top. I feel like I'm like all over the place in this video, so I hope this is structured enough for people to understand. Sometimes I just hit record and whatever comes out comes out. I'm trying to teach from what I've experienced in coaching people. And so I'm just trying to help people see what they're actually looking for. And it's actually, I notice a lot of people stay single because they don't quite understand what they're looking for. And either their standards are way too low, or their standards are like perfection, which again is a protective mechanism so that you don't actually get into a marriage. It's your brain's way of protecting you. So if you find yourself like attracted to someone, but you're just really nitpicking on like one thing, like, yeah, but they just don't exercise. And that's a big problem for me. Okay, why? Why is it a big problem? What if they don't exercise, but they go on walks sometimes? And you just kind of have to ask yourself why. Why is it so important? So this work is more effective when you do it when you're not attached to someone. Because when you're attached to someone, you start creating things that you're looking for. And on your journey of finding a spouse, every time you talk to someone or you see a couple, I would encourage you to note what value are you specifically wanting in your own relationship, in your own marriage. Right? And this is the time to take notes and actually write out, what do I want my marriage to look like? And your brain could be like, but I can barely find one person. But you need to first do this work, and then I promise you this, everything else will feel more easier, because Allah sends them in the right time when He sees that you are ready, and He will not give you something that you cannot handle. So every value you have shows up differently for people. Let's say I value faith and deen. And so for me, that shows up in a way of like, volunteering at the masjid, tahajjud, all of that. For someone else, it shows up very differently. Let's say for them, it shows up as reading Quran. Maybe that's their thing. Or maybe not even that. It just shows up differently. So your standards of what you think a value should look like is going to show up differently for other people. And your job is to see people as human beings, not to see them as a checklist, to see them as, okay, like they have this value, and this value, or this is how to ask to see what their values are. You ask them questions like, what do you do throughout the day? How do you spend your free time? And that's how you can tell what someone values and prioritizes. Like I remember talking before I was married, I was talking to someone, getting to know someone who I would ask them like, what do you do in your free time? And he would like spend majority of his time like playing video games or cartoons. And to me, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just not what I was looking for. And not just because of that, because that's all they do. There's no other like hobbies or things or activities that they do to serve the community or anything. And so now, like, let's fast forward to my husband. He does play video games. He does, spend time on just doing whatever, but he also serves the community, and he also does these things. So to me, that that's a big value of mine. I want to be with someone who, you know, values serving and being in service. Like, and however that looks like for them, that doesn't matter, but it's just more of like something meaningful, right? I feel like I don't want to re-record this whole thing, but I hope this was clear, but if it's not, I'm gonna have to rewatch it and see, but I'm gonna post it anyway. Because I'm trying to do this on a daily basis. So to really narrow this down, I would encourage you to write out, take a couple pages to really write out in detail what you're looking for and highlight what is absolutely necessary, that you would rather be single than not have this, and what are your deal breakers too, and understanding the deal breakers and why. Because let's say you meet someone but they have a lot of debt, like debt from college, and they're like really deep into it. Why is that a deal breaker for you? Because the reality is, you know, you live in America where everything costs millions of dollars just to exist and breathe. So people who don't have the privilege of, you know, owning or paying their college tuition, they're going to be in debt. And so why is it a problem? And people could think, well, you know, I heard being in debt is bad, but are you willing to challenge that and say, no, actually, like I can see that he or she's in debt, but she's actively working, she's trying to overcome it, she's paying off her debt, and that's not a problem. And so make sure you're constantly questioning, okay, what am I look like? Why? Really ask yourself why. And when you're coming from confidence, you don't second guess yourself. And that's something that if you do the work, the previous work that I talked about, it helps you feel more grounded, and you start attracting different people because now you have a filter of what you want and what you don't want. And immediately when someone comes up and you know it's not what you want, goodbye. Because why? Because you've already worked on this fear of like, what if I'm gonna be single forever? And what if this and what if that? Like, you're not afraid anymore. You're coming from a place of, I'm so happy and fulfilled. Allah has given me everything I've ever needed. And now I want to see what does it take to who do I want to include in my life, and doing that, and coming at it from that place. So if you're not coming at it from this place, the immediate thoughts that are going to come up for you is like, yeah, but there's not enough people out there for me to be this selective. And simply not true, because when you do this work, things open up for you, doors open up for you. I'm talking on a practical level and on a spiritual level. When you become more active because you like your life, you build a network, you start, people know you, people recognize you. When I know one of my clients, when she started, you know, living her life and being happy again, right? She started living her life in a way that she started making new friends and all of this. And the way she met her husband was a friend that she knew, like, you know, she hung out with, and that she referred her to who her now is her husband. So what I'm trying to say is, do the work, and it is worth it. And if this is too overwhelming and too much, just start with what you want your own life to look like, and then go to, what am I looking for in the spouse that that I think would be beneficial. I hope this was helpful. If not, I might just re-record another video explaining it more in detail, but yeah. All right, guys, I will see you in next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.